Hey, all, this is filmmaker Ron K. Armstrong extraordinaire. We're here with another interview for you. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, if you like this interview, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Well, I'm here with a special treat for you today. I have got the lovely and talented Miss Anita Clay, and she is an actor and a singer. So say hi, Anita.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yes, awesome. And I came across her work, and we're connected to one of her instructors. I've worked with him before, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the interview. But the one thing I liked about her right away when I saw her resume was the fact that she represents a very strong, independent female character who does the type of work that Tom Cruise does. If you look at Tom Cruise's films, he's very physical in all his films, especially Mission Impossible, and the latest one, The Mummy, too. You'll see that. And Anita exemplifies that because she's a super talented woman who's very physical. She has a diverse background. So, the first thing I'm going to say is, Anita, from what I understand, you actually grew up as a tomboy. Is that correct?
I did. My whole entire family is military based, and I grew up with maybe about seven boys, and then my two uncles, and of course my aunts. But mostly I was the only girl, so I did everything that the boys did. I was outvoted, unfortunately. So GI Joe in the morning, football in the afternoon, and whatever shenanigans we were getting into, at night. So,
I bet that made you very competitive, didn't it?
It did, but it was almost, I would say that it definitely gave me an edge as far as like being a female in a male dominated environment. So I've pretty much learned how to navigate, without losing my femininity, without going like super feminazi, I know how to kind of be the woman in the room with the men.
That's interesting you said that, because some actresses that I've seen, especially for one, Jodie Foster, she's awesome, but I see that she has like some kind of masculine ways about her, and it's kind of, to me, it's opposed to the character sometimes that she's playing. You know what I mean? So if it's awesome that you can keep that balance of being the tough lead woman, yet still maintain that feminine aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you also, kind of weird, you also study forensics?
Well, it's a little bit funny, actually. Forensics, not the scientific, like I'm going to find out who murdered this guy. It's a different type of forensics. I grew up in Kansas for a little while, and over there they have this special type of group that's kind of other schools like you would if, let's say, you were like a volleyball player or a football player, but instead you learn monologues, you learn poems, you write prose, and you practice them, and then you compete against other schools and win medals for it.
Oh,
it's like an interesting thing. I don't know if any other state does it, but they did it in Kansas, and it helped a lot with my acting.
Oh, wow. Now tell me about that. Now, how did you get into acting?
Well, I've always been obsessed with films. I've always been obsessed with movies since I was very little. My aunt used to work for a video warehouse, and so she was always bringing home like myriads and myriads of movies, and I would say my entire family is probably into movies, and so we were always watching movies, and I would just fantasize about being in them, and I'd be like, oh, I really wish I wanted to be in that. Like when I was growing up, and I was like, I was writing myself in the movie, like I'm the only girl in that. So from there, I had stars in my eyes. I got the spark, I got the bug, and when I was in high school, I started learning and training and performing in my local town. Also, I did plays in my local town, and then eventually I auditioned for a conservatory in Manhattan, New York, and got accepted, went there. And then after that, I pretty much just trained around the city, you know, kept honing my craft, looking for opportunities, looking for a way into the industry, and eventually found my way.
Well, you know
And
what?
here I am.
You have like the most awesome look. What's your background? What's your nationality?
I'm a mix of things. My on my mother's side is where like all of the mixing comes in. She's African American, Irish, Cherokee, and Mexican, and then my father is Puerto Rican.
Wow, that
So
is
I got a lot of crazy things going
yeah,
on.
that's a very interesting mix. I don't think I've ever encountered that before. Did
Yeah.
you find that a hindrance when trying to go for roles? Because that's I know it's very tough to like cast you. So did they have something in
Hmm.
mind, like they would say like, oh, you'll just play Dominican or something?
To be honest, most of the roles that I've gotten, they've been kind of like ethnically ambiguous, and that's usually like where I fall into like, okay, you know, not necessarily like, okay, she's Latin or she's, you know, African American or, you know, she's some other thing. It's more like this girl, nothing, no type of labels, but this is a girl and this is what happens.
So
So
you didn't find that it prevented you from getting certain roles?
probably, but not with my knowledge. You know, like I've never had anybody come up to me and be like, "You didn't get this role because of your skin color." You know.
Well, I think that your good looks probably supersedes that. So, you know, I think they look at you and they say, "Oh, she's pretty, so we can definitely use her." And you know, when I'm start, well, tell me what type of movies you like, because when I look at you, I start thinking of Angelina Jolie, you know, and just all those physical films that she's done, and she's out there starring in her own films. I mean, is that kind of what you're looking for?
Absolutely. I would categorize myself as an action actor. Mostly, I'm finding that my career as an actor has just gone that way. Like eventually, like when I meet people, they're like, "Oh, you look like a soldier," or you know, I could totally believe that you're a cop, or I could totally believe this. So usually, I find that the roles that I get cast in usually have to do with some sort of action, some sort of me having to do my own stunts, and it's just I don't know, it's been progressing from there. So I mean, when you mention Angelina Jolie, Laura Croft was probably my idol when I was growing up because I love Tomb Raider. I used to play video games, you know, all day long. So Tomb Raider was my jam.
Now, your background in martial arts is Aikido, right?
Well, it's part of keto, and then from there I switched over to Wing Chun slash Taekwondo, and you know, just basic boxing and forms. And it's mostly like all of my training is geared towards it being on screen. So there's not, I haven't like, I'm not a traditional martial artist. I've never had a belt, you know, like I've never been ranked. I don't compete. It's not in that aspect, but you train in martial arts just for the screen, but it's in every, it's a practice that I do.
Now, you worked with Demetrius, because I worked with him years ago, and he's like super talented, man. He's like a martial artist, choreographer, the works.
Yeah, he's a very talented martial artist. In fact, he was like a great example and a great foundation for me. Because when I was getting into the action and you know constantly being cast, he started up with the Urban Action Showcase.
Mm.
And my manager at the time, he called me up. He's like, Anita, this is right up your alley. You need to go to this thing. So I went, and I ended up meeting Demetrius. I also met Lamar Wingster, and they cast me. They were like, we want to use you in our action films because I guess that's what they specialize in, both of them together. So what they do is they train females in martial arts, and then they use them in their films
Oh
that they
yeah, I've
do.
seen them in action. I ain't gonna mess with them. I'm telling you that. But let me ask you this question though: are you into the martial arts for self defense or purely because of the stunt work?
Well, maybe a little bit of both. You know, as a woman, you never know. You know, it's a great skill to have. And also, what I've also learned is that martial arts itself, it transforms your life. So, you know, things that you used to do, your habits change. Also, your whole take on life, you become more reliable. You know, you just begin to think a little bit differently, and it kind of like lines your life up. It's really interesting how it happens.
Now, have you ever broken bones and all that, or?
I haven't. I actually I pulled my hamstring. Sorry, it's my boyfriend in the background.
Okay.
He's running
I was
for
going to
food.
tell you, there's a strange person in your apartment.
Let me go demonstrate my martial arts right now. But it definitely has set my life in a pathway to make me successful. So, you know, like I'm definitely an advocate for martial arts for anybody out there who's on the fence of whether or not they should take it, or, you know, if they're looking for something different or they need physical fitness or whatever. Like martial arts, it's all of the above. So, I mean, if you're not taking martial arts, take something, please.
Now tell me, like, what is the difference between the martial arts that you would use for self-defense in the street and the fight choreography on the set?
Well, film fighting is a little bit different than actual practical fighting. You know, for the film and for the camera, you kind of have to make everything a little bit bigger. You know, like you wouldn't necessarily punch somebody like this, you know, but you would have to do that for the camera because for some reason it doesn't look right. Like certain practical things don't look right in that you would use in real life. You know, it's not as pretty. So on film, you kind of want to make it a little bit more pretty for people to be like, ooh and ah. But usually, you know, out on the street, a fight lasts maybe a couple seconds, you know, and then it's over. But in a film fight, you want it to last at least a couple minutes so people can be entertained by it.
So let me ask you this. What do you think of those films that have a woman just like a superwoman? She can do everything and beat the strongest men. Like I've seen films where you have this skinny woman and she's beating up like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But then I've seen other films, like I just saw John Wick Part 2, right? I love that film. I love that film. And the villain, I forgot her name.
I haven't seen it, so unfortunately I
okay.
can't.
There's a female villain and she fights John Wick. And it's a really good scene because she's not overpowering John. She's just very like relentless and aggressive, but you can see where she doesn't have the physical strength, and that brings it back down to earth and makes it more realistic. What are your thoughts on that? Like, because I've also seen the other end of the spectrum where the woman just can beat guys no matter how big they are.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a debate that me and my boyfriend get into quite often, actually. See, the thing about movies is that it's a work of fiction, you know, so the idea is for it to be an entertaining work of fiction. And then most people, when they go, they're like, oh, well, that couldn't happen in real life. You're right. There's a lot of things that happen in movies that don't happen in real life. But then again, there are some things that could happen in real life because life is strange like that. However, I think if it's too fantastic, then, you know, it might kind of take you out of being entertained in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I always keep that in mind.
One thing I like about Demetrius when he was, when I saw him training, he always went for something that looked good on screen, but was realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that aspect. Well, now tell me about this film you did called Genocide.
Well, that was a Demetrius and Lamard work. It was about a woman who was a soldier in the future. And the whole premise of it was that in the future, there are no African Americans, you know, at least African Americans with really dark skin. The only types of people that are dark skin actually live in zoos, and people go to look at them because they're like so different. Now, my character is pretty much asking the question, why is this way? And everybody else in that time period, they're pretty much saying, don't ask questions, just do your job. And my character can't let it go. So what I do is I end up hijacking a time machine, going back to this time and finding out what happened and setting events in motion so the future is different. And the government from the future comes to basically stop me and kill me.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. Did you like what was your involvement in it? Just as an actor, or did you produce? Or 'cause I know you do some producing too, right?
I do, yeah. But I was just an actor in the Genocide series.
Oh, okay. That sounds really good. Kind of like a Terminator in a way.
Yeah. And it was kind of cool. I mean, if anybody's watching out there, just you can go to my channel on YouTube, Anita Clay. Just type in my name, you'll find me right away. And there's a little bit of examples of genocide on there that you can see. It was really done really cool with almost like a video game.
Oh, awesome.
Kind of had quality. Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely. Are you like, if you had your pick of the ideal films, what would you do? Would you do more of just straight action, or do you want to be also taking like, do you also want to be a dramatic actress? Would you go with those parts as well?
Absolutely. If it called for it, for sure. I mean, I do still do dramatic acting. It's just very few and far between, but it is a foundation and a forte that I used to specialize in before I got into action. And if I were to be cast in a role where it was just straight drama, no type of fighting, no action, I'm not a badass, I'm just a woman, I'm okay with that. But as an actor, you're always looking for your next gig. So, I mean, as an actor for hire, I'm accepting all paying jobs.
So when you're going to do a film that involves a lot of physical work, how do you prepare for that?
Well, I train, I would say about 3 times a week. I try to keep my body, in good physical condition. It's never like a time that I'm not training. So if I'm, let's say, going for a specific role, if there's something very specific that they want from me, as far as, like they want me to learn the katana sword, or, like they want me to do an eskrima fight, or, something like a high fall, or specialize in water or something like that, then I would start focusing more on that for those specific shots. So by the time that I got on set, I would be prepared and ready to go.
Oh, that's awesome. Now you skilled in weaponry and firearms as well, or?
Well, I can do basic firearm, like what's the word, forms that I can do, but as far as like rifles and any type of special gun stuff, I would have to be trained in that at this point in time. As far as I do specialize in escrimas, and I can do basic sword stuff. But if they needed me to focus on that and be like, okay, your character is a sword expert, then I would start training for that prior to shooting.
What's the most difficult scene you have?
Most difficult? Let me think about that for a second.
I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
No worries. Like, I'm just trying to think about like a day that was just like really, really, really tough. Well, you know what? I would say maybe there was one time I was on set, and I feel like a lot of people run into this, is where when you're on my level, like I'm somewhere between A-list movies and crappy, like I work for free, we just put this together, I'm actually an accountant type thing. So there'll be times where I'm on set and my fight partner is not a stunt person. They have no training in stunt experience. They're not stunt fighters, but they're martial artists. And there's a lot of misconception about being a martial artist and also being a stunt fighter, because they are 2 different things. And when you're on set with a martial artist, they're trying to hurt you for real. And you have to back up and be like, whoa, 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 this is just fantasy. Like you don't have to actually grab my hand like that. You don't have to break my wrist. You don't have to twist my arm that hard. I'll do the acting. You just kind of put your hand there. And I would say I got punched in the face once.
Ooh.
By a guy who didn't understand that. Like he was supposed to go across my face, but he kept going like, punching past my face, and they're like, no, go across her face. And I looked in his eyes, and as he was winding up to do it, I was like, he's gonna punch me in the face. He punched me in the face. And after that, it was kind of like everybody was so frazzled, and they were like, oh my God. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, so the production was pretty much done at that point, and we didn't get the shots that we needed because there was very little preparation for that specific shot. And then also working with somebody who doesn't have that experience. So, that's also something that you sign up for as an actor, as an action actor, is sometimes you're going to run across people who don't have the experience you have. and there's a possibility that you might get injured. So it's like always good to keep safety precautions, you know, because that's the thing that you want the least is, you know, so you want to be able to keep doing it, you know.
Yeah, because as far as acting is concerned, your day is not the typical day of an actor because you are doing the stunts. So there's a lot of, like you said, safety preparation that's to be done. You'll be thinking about the scene in very minute details because somebody could get hurt, you know. So I can imagine a lot of what you go through. Tell me about, now you're a singer too. Tell me about this.
Well, I've actually been singing probably my entire life. And before I got into being an actor and taking that and choosing actually trying to be a singer for a little while. And unfortunately, I gave it up because I just didn't like the way that the business goes. You know, like I didn't like the deals that artists were getting. You know, I don't know if you've ever watched, what was it, that one that just came out on BET with New Edition?
Yeah.
And you know, like you saw, like they were really famous for like years before they were actually making the money that they should have been making from little kids, you know. And that's the problem that most musical artists face when they're starting their careers out, is that they're pretty much working off debt until they become so famous and so where like their albums have to sell and sell and sell and sell and sell before they're actually getting their just desserts for their own music, which I find it's not a business I'd like to be involved in, unfortunately.
Oh, see.
Yeah, I love to sing though. So I mean, if you know, I had an acting role that required that I need to be a singer, or you know, like I did some background singing for another artist, I would love to do that. But I don't think I'll ever be like a music artist myself.
So right now you're just doing it for the love of it, basically.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is awesome. So, like, I understand you do a lot of action films. But what's your favorite genre? Is it action films or is it horror or?
Do you mean to watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's action films.
Oh, okay.
I think I watch probably 90% of the stuff that I watch involves action of some sort. You know, any type of kung fu fighting, Bruce Lee movies, Jackie Chan movies, any type of movies from China. You know, most of them involve action in some way.
What's your favorite film?
My favorite film? As far as action films, I would probably say Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, no way. Oh, yeah. I love that film. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
surprised
just great.
how many people know about that. That's old school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a great film, cult classic. In fact, Urban Action Showcase, they featured it last year.
Oh.
So yeah, I got to meet Peter Kwong, who was played Rain. Yeah.
You know,
So it was really cool.
they're rebooting that, you know.
Yeah, I have feelings. I have feelings about that. I kind of feel like Hollywood reboots too many things.
Yeah.
You know, especially like such great movies like Big Trouble in Little China is such a classic that to reboot it, it's just kind of like taking away from the awesomeness that movie was, you know.
Well, how do you feel about, on that same note, The Last Dragon?
I love The Last Dragon. Last Dragon was also one of those cult classics that I love, you know, Bruce Leroy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great movie. I would probably say that's maybe top 10. It's somewhere in there.
Have you ever worked with him, Timac?
Well, I never got a chance to work with him, unfortunately, but I have met him several times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a great guy, isn't he? He's awesome.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
He looks
he's a nice guy.
good. You know, he's still in shape and everything. It's amazing. You know. So tell me what
martial arts.
Yeah, tell me what distinguishes you from all the other actors out there. Tell me, like, if I was going to hire an actor, why should I hire you?
Well, first of all, I love to work. The one thing that most people, if you ever talk to anybody who's ever worked with me, they will know that I am going to show up on time. I am going to know all my lines. I'm going to know all my cues. I'm going to know everything that I need to know about my part. You're not going to have to tell me to do anything unless you're asking me to do something new. I am also very helpful on set. So I'm not one of those people who just like, oh, I'm gonna go lay back, you know, like I'll definitely be up there like, do you need help? Do you need help? Do you need me to do anything? You know, while I'm not working, I'm still working. And, you know, if you're like, no, I need to go relax, that's when I'll go relax. I'm also very easy. I'm a very easy person on set. You know, like I don't have any type of ego, you know, like, so I'm not going to be the person causing drama on set. I'm going to be happy in the corner or happy doing something else. So, I mean, if you hire me, those are the big qualities that I have. On top of that, I can do the job. You know, I can act. You know, for those who are just watching or tuning in, you can check me out at my website, Anita Clay, ANITACLAY.com, and check out my acting, check out my action, you know, and it's pretty much it.
Now, are you union?
In my union,
Yes.
I'm eligible.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, what's next for you? Because I mean, you've got all this super talent. You're a producer, singer, you know, actor, martial artist. What's next for you?
Well, I actually have a new movie coming out that starred Don the Dragon Wilson and R. Marcus Taylor from Straight Outta Compton, and it's called Paying Mr. Maggette. It's going to be coming out sometime soon, and also I have two like web series / Netflix series coming out, or I'm actually going to be shot early 2018. So if you guys are checking them out, you can check them out on my website. One is called Third Eye. The other one is called Angelic's Ascension. And hopefully I just went out for the new CBS series called SEAL Team, and hoping to get a call about that.
Awesome.
So
yeah, I love the SEALs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what's coming up for me at the end of the year. And right now I'm just been training, been trying to focus and keep my head straight and just make my dreams come true.
So like, can you give some advice to other actors out there who want to do what you're doing? And what I mean by that, I mean by acting / fight, you know, fight scenes, the whole deal. Can you give some advice for those people who are thinking about like, hey, maybe I should move to California and do this? What are some of the pitfalls, the challenges that you could like pass on your wisdom and knowledge?
Well, the one thing that I always seem to run into is that there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that this takes work. You know, if this is your dream and this is what you want to do, you got to be willing to work for it. You know, I meet a lot of people who woke up yesterday and they are like, oh, you know, I want to be an actor. And this is, you know, like definitely whenever you decide to be an actor, just realize that it's work, and that if that's something that you want to do, go train, go take acting classes. If you want to be a stunt performer, start taking stunt classes, start learning what you need to do to fall. If you're a martial artist that wants to be a stunt person, green fighting classes. That way you can understand what the difference is between the two. And just get out there, network, talk to people, go to the places where people are going to be, that you know industry people are going to be. If you go to a film festival, you'll meet them there. If you go to any type of event where you know that there's going to be industry people there, it's definitely good to go and meet these people, you know, face to face, have a casual drink with them, have a friendly conversation. Don't be too desperate. And at the, you know, and just keep plugging away and understand that this process takes time. It is a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It does happen for some people, but it's like 1 in a million. So if this is something that you want to do, it's definitely be in it for the long haul or find a new dream.
That's awesome. Anita, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. Love your work. I think that you're going to be big in the future. And I totally think, you know, audiences are ready, you know, for Tom Cruise, you know, John Wick, all these guys to step aside and let some women take the helm and lead the way in action movies. And I think you're the person to do it. All right.
Oh, thank you, Rod. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I will say thank you to Wonder Woman. You know,
Oh,
Wonder
yeah.
Woman is doing amazing, and so that definitely opens the gateway for more female leads for action. So
Yeah, they can't use that excuse anymore that these female leads don't drive people to the box office. So Wonder Woman, she killed it. She killed it. So thank you. And everyone, check out Anita Clay's work. She's fabulous. And we look forward to seeing her work in the future. So again, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time on my next interview. Thank you. Thanks, Anita.
bye. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, everybody, for watching.